back to Between the Lines. We will be having a guest speaker, an actor from Hills Like White Elephants, Miss Angela Nikole Brown. That's great. I'm doing good. What I wanted to first ask you was, working on the movie, how did you feel portraying an actor who is pregnant and, basically deciding to have an abortion with her boyfriend?
It was completely different than what I had originally thought the movie was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
However, after I did read the short story, it all kind of clicked together, and after working with Ernest Hemmingway and seeing what he saw as it played out in his mind,
mm-hmm.
everything just clicked together, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, so you didn't have any problems with, the role itself, or
I know the topic is very controversial, and many people are like, no, don't talk about that kind of thing. But just as the story goes, it went very smoothly, and it was never just shouted through the movie and through the story itself.
So it's kind of like you had to kind of look for the symbolism.
Yes, the white elephant and the symbolism, yes.
Well, working with Mr. Hemmingway, I mean, how basically awesome was it to work with this author, and then how was it him, being around him himself,
It was so great because he and the director worked so well together. The director really fed off of his energy, and the movie now is, I like to believe, is something that is what he saw in his own mind, and just to be part of it was absolutely an honor, and it was amazing.
That's cool. We will go to a short break, and when we come back, we will have the author of Hills Like White Elephants, Mr. Hemmingway.
As a mom, I really hate it when companies put artificial preservatives in their jams and jellies. However, I like to make my own. So today I'm bringing you Jane's Jams. And they go great on anything like croissants for my kids. Shoot, they even go well with lobster like me and my husband are having tonight. Today we have peach and raspberry flavor. And for the low, low price of $13.99 a jar, you can have your own jar of Jane's Jams. Call now for your chance.
Welcome back, and here is our guest speaker, the author, Mr. Ernest Hemmingway. Alright, so what made you create a story like this with the detail and the symbolism?
Well, the symbolism really, I feel like it works well. A white elephant, as many people know, is a gift that can sometimes be a burden, and in that way, I mean, you can kind of understand for people with kids, it is a burden to have a child. So white elephant, I mean, the two worked out really well, and it's just something I've seen as it's a controversial topic, and it needs to be addressed. I mean, no one wants to say, here's an abortion, you kind of hide it, and if you have one, you keep it quiet, and if you're against one, you tend to be pretty loud about it. So the naysayers tend to have more violent and more prevalent opinion in the world. So it's hard to get the other side of it. So portraying it in the book was a lot easier. In the movie, it started to get a little more difficult, but I think for what we've done, I think we did a really good job.
That's good. How did you, tie the weather on different sides of the train to their decision of having this abortion?
Well, for the hills being like white elephants, they're desert sands, and they're white like elephants, obviously, because hills like white elephants. But the way it ties in, it was really more of an aesthetic thing than to be detailed. It was simplistic writing to bring in the idea that the hills remind them or are symbolic of their decision, or the woman's decision, not really the man's, obviously. But for the woman's decision, it was more of a symbolic. My apologies. Symbolic and aesthetic choice, honestly.
For myself and viewing audience as well, what was your book, your short story, geared mostly to her actually having it, or her deciding not to, or did you just leave it kind of sitting on the fence?
Well, that's actually something I wanted to address. In the book, it was
short story.
Sorry, short story. You're correct. My bad. in the story, the reader is allowed to decide for themselves what they believe that the woman did after, whether or not she boarded the train. In the movie, however, we did this really awesome thing. It was actually Miss Brown's idea that we filmed both sides of the story, both endings, because no one wants to go to see a movie without an ending, right? So we filmed two different versions, right? One with them having the baby, one with the woman having the abortion, and we had this idea. Well, I can't take credit. She did, obviously. She had the idea to, since we're filming both versions, it would be interesting to send them out randomly. Send both versions out. So both versions of the movie are going to be distributed and in theaters, but depending on which theater you go to, you'll see a different version of the movie. And of course, when it releases on DVD, we'll have both endings in there. But I think it's a really good choice.
Okay, well, it's nice hearing from you, Mr. Hemmingway.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you guys do not know about the book or the actual movie, go out and see it. It's a great movie and a great short story. And with that, there's Between the Lines.